So, we are here this morning on your divorce, and I'll start by saying I note that y'all came to a Zoom hearing once before on May 31st. You were in front of Judge Julio de la Yata. He refused to go forward because nobody had filed the pretrial forms that are required by the Travis County local rules. And his notes say he told you where to find the pretrial forms, what needed to be filled out, and how to do it. And he reset the hearing till today that y'all had both agreed to today. Nevertheless, there are 0 pretrial forms on file. I did find some forms that Ms. Tibbs filed in box. As I suspect that you may know, box is not the same thing as filing. So, Mr. Rice, why did you not prepare any pretrial forms or file them?
You should say you uploaded the document July 7th. You what? You uploaded the document July 7th. I have the documents. No, you uploaded. Oh, I uploaded the documents July 7th.
So I don't know who's speaking. Who is that speaking?
This is a friend of mine.
All right.
Abraham. His name is Abraham. He's just been helping me with my situation.
All right. Well, if Abraham is your lawyer, he may stay. Otherwise, this is between you and the court and Ms. Tibbs. So nobody else is permitted to speak. So we're in the hearing on your divorce, and I am I'm not seeing anything filed by you. The last thing that I see that you filed was an answer at February 21st. There's a bunch of notices and updated notices of court proceedings, but I do not see anything that you filed. And we sent you a link to upload documents to Box, and I don't see that you did that either. So
I never got those that I could see. I can go back and look if you would like.
So do you have a paycheck stub with you?
I don't have a check stub with me. I work for Lyft.
Do you have your last year's tax return?
No, ma'am, I didn't work a long enough time to provide that.
All right. What was the amount of your last annual income last you filed a tax return?
It was 30,000 that I made, and that was like 2 years ago. And that's only because the pandemic was here and we were doing things in motion for my daughter.
All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get started. Neither of you has a lawyer. I've been struggling with whether I make you come back one more time. I see, though, that you're out of state, Ms. Tibbs. Where are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently stationed in Florida.
All right. And is the child with you?
That's correct.
Okay. And you, Mr. Rice, are you here in Travis County?
I am. Yes, ma'am.
So here's what we're going to do. You've announced for 2.5 hours, Ms. Tibbs. That means each side gets up to an hour and 15 minutes. Mr. Beck will keep track of the time. We're going to start out with an opening statement from each of you in which you tell me what it is you're asking me to do and why. And then you'll each have the opportunity to put on evidence in the form of either your own statement under oath about what's going on and why you're asking me for the relief you're asking me for, or documents or other witnesses. And then we'll take it from there. So, Ms. Tibbs, why don't you start with an opening statement and tell me what it is you're asking for the court to do and why.
Yes, ma'am. I do want Eddie to have a relationship with Tommy, and I want him to have visits. I just want it to be done safely. So I'm asking that he does get drug tested, specifically at Pro Results in Austin, and specifically the nail test, so that it shows that he has been sober for at least 120 days before he's able to visit Tommy. And I do ask that the visits are done here in Florida, just because Tommy is comfortable here. And she wouldn't feel, because I've talked to her about it and she said that she doesn't want to leave me. But I feel like over time that can get, like their relationship can get rebuilt and she'll be comfortable enough to go out of state with him.
Dad, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
You're asking for sole manager, Gene, conservatorship. You're asking that he pay you child support, and you're asking for limited visits. I see that you've uploaded something that starts minimizing child's exposure to conflict, and we will talk about it when it's your time to testify. But those are the reasons that you're not asking for standard visitation, I take it.
Correct. Correct. And as far as child support goes, I'm asking for reduced or no child support as long as he pays for travel to visitations.
And you're in the Air Force,
Air Force. Yes, ma'am.
and you feel like you have the ability to support your child without child support from Mr. Rice?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I now know what it is Ms. Tibbs is asking for. So, Mr. Rice, it's your time to make an opening statement and tell me what you're asking me to do and why. You'll need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Yes, ma'am. I want joint custody. I haven't seen Tommy but once in 2 years. The only reason I did see her was because her in-laws were in Texas, and the doctor had called she had a scheduled appointment to see the doctor, but it was here in Austin. And I told the person that I was on the phone with, I told him, well, I don't even know where she is. I haven't seen her or anything, but let me give you her parents' phone number and all that. So they called her parents, and her parents were like unaware of that Heather didn't want me to see my kid. So her parents let me see the kid, my daughter, Tommy, because they thought it was unfair because I hadn't been seeing Tommy for like the last year. But when I did get to see Tommy, it was because of my in-laws wanted me to see her. And when I did, I saw her for a week. And then Heather or her mom called me in the middle of the day saying, hey, Heather's going to come and try to, take the baby from you, because she was already in, I guess, basic training. And first of all, when she wanted to go to the military, she had an agreement with me saying, hey, if you go ahead and, sign and my wishes so I can go to the military. I said, yeah, of course I want you to go to the military. I want Tommy to have better medical, because Tommy, I don't know if you know that Tommy has, some problems that she had before birth. They told us that they wanted us to abort the baby, but we told them no, we weren't going to have that. I just want the court to know that this is the things that I've been struggling with, and things I've been struggling with is not being able to see my daughter because she was born without her esophagus to her stomach. So the second day, they had to repair that. She survived it. She also was born with one leg shorter than the other. So we had to go to Florida and take care of that. But let me just go back a little. Go back a little bit. So when she was born.
Let me just stop you and tell you, this is opening statements. It's your chance to tell me what you want me to do and brief. You can't talk it. Hang on a second. So the court reporter is writing down everything that you each say and that I say. In order for her to do that, we can't talk at the same time because then she can't hear all of what either of us is saying.
Yes, ma'am.
And you just, even saying, yes, ma'am, I know it's a normal conversation, but you just need to wait till I'm totally finished. And you also need to speak in a normal speed because she can't, she's certified for up to 225 words a minute, and you've been going pretty fast.
Okay.
So let's slow down and speak one at a time. I'm going to swear you both in and let you testify. This is just the time where you tell me what you want and briefly why. So you're telling me you want joint custody, and what else do you want me to do?
I just want to be able to talk to Tommy on a day-to-day affairs, just to know if she's okay with her health, sickness. I want to be able to, if she goes, if she's deployed, I want to be able to have custody of my daughter. Let's see here. And I just want, I just want the same rights that she has because we all went through the same thing. And I'm not, I've never done anything to my daughter, but be here.
All right. Thank you. So at this point,
Also, I'm sorry. Can she not travel outside of the country with my daughter? She has to have my permission.
so Ms. Tibbs, we're going to start out with some questions that I need you to answer in order to what we call prove up the divorce. So please state your full name, Ms. Tibbs.
Heather Nicole Tibbs.
And Mr. Rice, the sound quality would be better if you turn off your microphone while she's speaking, and then I'll have her do the same thing.
Okay.
So just hit mute. All right, thank you. So are you currently married to Eddie Nathan Rice?
Yes.
And when were you married?
March 16th, I believe, of 2017.
You sort of broke up a little bit, but I think you said March 6, 2017.
March 16th.
March 16th.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It may be that you need to get a little bit closer to the phone when you answer. All right. At the time that you filed for divorce, had either you or Mr. Rice lived in Texas for at least 6 months before that?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
At the time you filed for divorce, and you filed for divorce back on January 9th of 2024, had either you or Mr. Rice lived in Texas for at least 6 months?
Correct.
And was it you or was it him or both of you?
It was both at the time.
Okay. And then were you a resident of Travis County for at least 90 days before you filed for divorce?
No, I was not. I was just north in Round Rock.
What about Mr. Rice?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So when did you and Mr. Rice separate?
We separated February 9th of 2022.
And you have one child?
Correct.
And her name is Tommy? So she's 5 years old?
Correct.
And do you and Mr. Rice have any other children together?
No, we do not.
By birth or by adoption?
No, ma'am.
All right. And have you had any other children since either before or after your marriage?
No, ma'am.
All right. Has your marriage become insupportable because of a discord or conflict of personalities that destroys the legitimate ends of the marriage relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any reasonable expectation that you and Mr. Rice will get back together?
No, ma'am.
Were there any court orders about your child before this divorce case?
No, ma'am.
Does Tommy own any property?
No, ma'am.
And did Mr. Rice have any other children with anyone else during your marriage?
No, ma'am. Not
And
that I'm aware of.
I understand from your earlier statement that he has 7 other children.
Correct.
And are you currently expecting a child?
No, ma'am.
And you're asking the court to grant you a divorce?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking that any visits between Mr. Rice and your child take place in Florida where you now live?
Correct.
All right. Tell us about your where it is you live and what you're doing there.
Yes, ma'am. I am stationed at Eglin Air Force Base, so I had no choice but to come here. And I know Eddie was concerned about deployment. I very specifically picked my job in the Air Force that's at this base that's non-deployable, so I'll never have to deploy, and TDYs, which are just temporary duty assignments. Those are voluntary, so I'll never have to go on one of those unless if I choose to do so. But I don't want to. I very specifically picked this job because I don't want it to create a gap or a distance between me and Tommy.
All right. And will you spell the name of your Air Force base?
Yes, ma'am. It's EGLIN.
And where is that? What city?
It's in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
And how long have you been there?
I got here in late April.
Of 2024?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
And where were you before that?
I was at Shepherd's Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Will you spell Shepherds?
Yes, it's SHAPPARD.
All right. And how long have you been in the Air Force?
I'm coming up on 1 year in a couple of months.
And what is your rank?
I'm in A1C
And what does that mean?
and E3.
I need, for those of us who aren't in the military, will you explain what that means?
It's Airman First Class.
All right. So that's an enlisted job?
Correct. Correct.
And what is your income with that job?
My base pay, let me pull up the sheet because I actually wrote down all the exact numbers. My base pay is $2,437.55.
Per month?
And then I do get allotted a certain amount of money for living off base with my child, and that's $2,068.
And both of those are monthly income?
It's those totals are monthly, but I do get paid bi-weekly.
Got it. So this statement that you put in the record, or you put in the box called minimizing child's exposure to conflict. I need you, it's not evidence, but this is your chance to tell me all the information here or that you know otherwise about why it is I should make the rulings that you're asking me to make.
Yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it up so I can just make sure I hit all the key points. As far as asking for a drug test, there hasn't been a single time that I've known Eddie to be actually sober. He has a very extensive background with using and selling drugs. I know because I was with him for a few years and I was able to actually see firsthand some of the stuff that he would participate in or do. I just don't want to subject Tommy to certain things. I don't want her to know what stuff smells like. I don't want her to know what stuff looks like. I just want Tommy to have a normal relationship with Eddie and protect her from that.
All right. And what specific drugs are you aware of that you're concerned about for Mr. Rice?
Yes, I've known him to do cocaine, marijuana, and some kinds of pills. I'm not sure exactly what they were.
All right. And you say that you're also aware that he sells drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the basis for your statement about that?
I lived with him for many years and I've seen him do a lot of selling drugs and buying drugs, and it's very, I mean, I've seen it firsthand multiple times, and that's just the lifestyle that he's made. He's 54 years old and still doesn't have a real job and just sells drugs. And unfortunately, his older kids have fallen into the same tracks as him, and they're into drugs and in and out of jail. And I don't want that for Tommy. So I just want to make sure that visitations are as safe as possible.
You say you've lived with him for many years. What years did you live with him?
From the year that we got married up until 22. So 17 to 22.
All right. And y'all were in Travis County?
We were in Travis County majority of the time. And then there was, I believe, a 3-month window where we went to Florida for my daughter's surgeries.
And how is your daughter's health now?
It's really good.
Is she under the continuing care of any doctor other than a pediatrician?
Yes, ma'am. And that's another thing too. because of her health conditions, the Air Force has her enrolled into an exceptional family member program. So I can only be stationed where her doctors are. So given that her doctors are in Florida, I can only be stationed here in Florida to make sure that her continuous care is ongoing and consistent.
All right. And specifically, what are her health issues?
She has her leg condition is called tibular hemilia. So she was just missing her tibia on her left leg and short in the right leg. That's ongoing just because her left leg will need lengthening every few years. She still has a G tube. She does not use it anymore. She's eating by mouth again. And that was due to her esophageal atresia and a TE fistula that she had repaired.
You're
As
gonna,
like Eddie's, go on.
you're going to need to spell those conditions for the court reporter, please.
Give me just a second. I'll have to Google them. I do apologize. ELIA.
All right. And does she have other health conditions that require care?
No, ma'am. They're all just follow-up. Everything is stable and improved, and it's just follow-ups to make sure nothing reoccurs.
All right. So you've asked in this paper that you uploaded for Mr. Rice to be required to get a 10-panel nail drug test done at Pro Results in Austin that shows he's been sober for at least 120 days before having a visit with Tommy. And if he's negative, I think you're offering to pay for the drug test.
Yes, ma'am. If it does show that he is negative, then I'll pay for it. I just want to ensure that Tommy is getting a sober parent that she deserves.
All right. And I understand why you want him to have that test result, but if he were sober a day before he was with your child, why would that not be sufficient? And while he had her?
I have, like I said before, I have never known Eddie to actually be sober, but I have seen him, I've lived with him, and I know that the cognitive effect that these drugs have on him aren't just 24-hour lasting.
All right.
I just want her to be in an environment where she's safe, where an adult can make decisions that can protect her or keep her safe, or just her best, like just her safety in general.
All right. And the next paragraph says that you're asking that, well, you're asking for sole managing conservatorship and all the decision-making rights. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that your residence would determine where she goes to school. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she starting kindergarten in the fall?
Yes, we're trying to get her enrolled into school now. Me and my supervisor are trying to get her on school on the base here.
Okay. And you said you asked that the visitations are in Florida where you live and professionally supervised at public locations.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's because of the drugs. Are there other issues that are part of the reason you're asking for this?
Yes, ma'am. In the past, when I was letting Eddie see Tommy, it was very hostile. He would harass me. He would follow me. He would tell me that I would need to, if I want money from him for Tommy, I would have to go visit him, or I would have to go to work with him. And it became very unhealthy. And all this was happening in front of Tommy. I had to call the cops a couple of times during the visitations just to get him away from me. He would push me, spit on me. He's yelling, causing a big scene in public, again, in front of Tommy. And she doesn't understand what's going on. So I don't want that to reoccur again.
And how old was
And then
Tommy?
Tommy has questions about why this is happening.
How old was Tommy the last time that happened?
This was during the first year after we separated, so in 2022. So,
All right. And you mentioned in this statement that Mr. Rice has a history of pimping. And I'd
Yes,
like you to tell me how it is you know that.
yes, ma'am. He was very proud about it when we first got together. He even has his pimping name tattooed on his arm. And I did submit in the evidence a text message from him telling me about his pimping So my concern with that is this is his whole lifestyle. And I'm concerned about the company that he keeps around him or the people that will be in and out of his house with Tommy there. And I'm worried that the environment that Tommy will be put in is going to be an unsafe one.
All right. And how old are you?
I'm 26.
So you were 21 when y'all got married?
No, ma'am. I was 21 whenever I had the baby.
All right. So how old were you in 2017 when you got
I
married?
believe I was 18 at the time.
All right. And you also indicated that as a result of his alleged drug distribution, pimping, and unstable living situation, he had been robbed and shot. Is that something that you know personally?
Yes, ma'am. And
Mhm.
again, that goes back to me feeling that Tommy would not be safe with him.
And when was he robbed and shot, and how do you know about it?
I was not with him during the time that he was robbed and shot. That was a few years before I got with him or met him. But he's told me the story a few times, and everyone is aware of it. His family's aware of it. His friends are.
You indicated in your statement that Mr. Rice had a history of domestically abusing you. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, ma'am. It wasn't just physical abuse, it was emotional, physical, mental. I wasn't allowed to even step outside of the house to get a package or collect the mail unless if he was there with me. I wasn't allowed to have social media. I wasn't allowed to talk to any of my friends. I wasn't allowed to see any of my friends. He controlled when I would see my family, pushing me, spitting on me, yelling at me, making me feel like everything was my fault. It was just ongoing, never stopped. It never stopped. It was never a break. And I kept telling him for years that I was going to leave him if he didn't get help or change. And then he would say he would get, therapy or, he would stop, but he never did. But even his sister and his mom and dad have told him that he needs to get help because I'm not the first woman that he's been with that he has treated this way. It's just been multiple women who have the same exact story that I do. And I don't want Tommy to see it because I don't want her to idolize him to be the type of man that she wants to be with when she's older. So I'm trying to make the visitations very peaceful as possible. So Tommy has, a better role model to look up to.
All right. And tell me about your living situation now. Where do you live? How many bedrooms? That sort of thing.
Yes, ma'am. I just got into a rental property. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's probably like 10 minutes down the road from the beach. We love it. There's a little dock in the backyard, and Tommy has 2 friends downstairs that she plays with all the time. It's nice.
And does anybody else live with you?
No, ma'am.
You're also asking that your address and the child's address be redacted from all court documents so that Mr. Rice doesn't know. And you talk about his threats to you and your family. Will you elaborate on that?
Yes, ma'am. Over multiple occasions, Eddie has threatened to have his female family members come beat me up or come jump me. He's threatened to show up to my jobs or to my family's houses. And then I guess he assumes that I'm seeing somebody, so he always threatens like, oh, whenever I see your boyfriend, I'm gonna beat him up, or he better watch out, or if I ever see him. So it makes me worried for the future, and present because I don't want him to know where I live. I don't want him to just show up just because he knows where I live. Um, it's not a good look because the actual owner of the condo that I'm staying at lives next door. And they already said that the previous tenants were drama and weren't good tenants. So they don't want that for me. And they would kick me out if he were to come cause problems.
So is there anything else that you want me to know about your daughter, your husband, your situation before I make a decision?
Yes, ma'am. I've been taking care of Tommy since Eddie and I separated. Child support would be nice just to help with smaller things. Like right now, I've been paying for daycare and that's $200 a week. And then on top of that, I have to pay for her extracurricular activities and stuff because, I don't really have that extra help. So child support would be nice, but I know that Eddie doesn't pay his child support. He owes tens of thousands of dollars in back child support for other children. So I don't want to bury him further into debt or legal trouble. But Tommy's in good hands. I've been taking care of her. My aunt is here and she helps me with Tommy whenever I have to work. But the shop that I work for in the Air Force is super supportive and they let me go to all of her doctor's appointments. They let me go pick her up if she's sick. If school's closed, they let me they let me stay home. I've taken complete care of her and I can continue to do so. And this job has made it great because everything's covered for Tommy, including her healthcare and stuff, which I was paying out of pocket $20,000 for deductions last year. So the Air Force helps with medical expenses as well.
All right. Anything else you want me to know?
No, just that I want Eddie to rebuild his relationship with Tommy, but I want it to be done safely and effectively, where it's not mentally destroying Tommy, where it's inconsistent and she's wondering why he doesn't show up or I don't know. I just want it to be done safely and I don't want Tommy to be mentally distressed by it or distraught because of it.
So when did she last see her father?
I believe it was November of 23.
And that was the time that Mr. Rice described where you were in Austin with her?
No, that was she was with my parents at the time while I was doing my training. And then we were in communications that whole time. And I don't know what he means by I wasn't letting him see her. I gave my parents Eddie's number and said if they need help or if they need anything to contact Eddie. And I didn't have an issue with it.
All right. And since November of 2023, has she spoken with her father?
No, ma'am. I blocked Eddie's phone number on my phone because he would nonstop call me. He would ask me all the time who I'm with, where I am. He would always yell at me, cuss at me. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I did block him. And Tommy does have her own iPad and she had access to communications with Eddie through her iPad that he did actually pay monthly for. I think it's $20 a month that he paid for her service on her iPad, but he disconnected it.
So he said he would like to regularly talk with his daughter. If he's willing to reconnect the iPad, are you willing to agree to allow him to speak with her or FaceTime with her regularly?
Yes, ma'am. And is there a way that you could include that he doesn't divvy the conversation away from Tommy? Because there's been times where he'll just sit on the iPad and try to talk to me on the other side of the room and not even talk to Tommy.
Anything else you want to add at this time?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
All right. So, Mr. Rice, this is the part of the trial where you get to ask Ms. Tibbs questions. If you had a lawyer, your lawyer would be doing the asking. But since y'all are both representing yourselves, you get to do the same thing they would. So, Mr. Rice, if you'll get back on camera and unmute your microphone. If you have any specific questions for Ms. Tibbs, you may ask them now.
So I feel like Heather's like defamation of my character right now.
So I understand that, and you're going to have a chance to tell me everything you want to tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not that time. This is the time for you to question her.
Okay, so are you saying when we got in a car accident before Tommy was here, and we found out all the things that was going on with her that we were going to have to do, that I didn't stop smoking weed for 5 years?
You did not stop smoking weed for 5 years.
Yeah, I did. Before she was
You did
born,
not.
all the way up
So
until
again, Mr. Rice, this is your time to ask her questions. You will have a chance to testify.
Well, what kind of questions am I going to ask her? What do I need to ask her? I mean, she's totally. I don't have any questions to ask her. Well, I mean, I don't. I'm not trying to sit up here and let everybody know everything that I'm not trying to like.
So, sir, just to be clear, if you don't have any questions for her and you just want to tell your story, that's fine.
Mhm.
So you don't have any questions.
Okay, I do. So on Instagram, you know, I saw a picture of you and your new boyfriend, and it says that you know you love him or whatnot. Does your new boyfriend have anything to do with your decisions on, you know, you leaving Florida, Austin, you being there, and me not being able to communicate and not be able to see my kid and things like that?
I have not been on Instagram since you made me delete it when I got with you.
Mhm.
And my decisions to go to Florida, which you knew what my intentions were because you weren't helping me watch Tommy and I didn't have anyone else to help me. So you knew that I was going to live with my aunt in Florida, who was going to help me get a job at Ford, which I did get and stayed at for almost a year before I joined the Air Force.
But
It was because of you, and you knew that.
isn't this the same aunt before you came back to Austin with our daughter? You said, I'm leaving here because your aunt is prejudiced against my daughter. She treats her bad and all these things. That's what you
No,
told me.
I don't have an aunt that's prejudiced towards my daughter.
Yeah, the one that you're sitting here telling the porch right now that you know she watches her and this and that. That's the same aunt you're talking about because she lives in Florida. And
No,
you
that's
forgot
not.
to you forgot to
This
tell.
aunt,
Hang on. That wasn't a question. That was a statement. So if you have a question, you may ask it now. If you just have statements, we'll get to the point where you get to give me whatever it is you want.
I have no further questions.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to add, Ms. Tibbs?
no, I do not.
Do you have any other witnesses that you want to call?
No, ma'am.
All right. And you've uploaded some documents to Box.
Yes, ma'am. And I do apologize that they're not labeled correctly. I wasn't able to go in and rename them.
All right. Well, we can take care of that. So you filled out a form called Parenting Plan. And that form, there's one, and then there's another called Parenting Plan 2. Is the updated version the correct?
No, ma'am. It just didn't attach the last 2 or 3 pages, so I just submitted it as a number 2.
Got it. All right. So the last 2 pages, the ones named Parenting Plan 2, have your living expenses.
Yes, that was part of the package that they told me to fill out. And it goes into conjunction with child support.
All right. So do you want to offer those 2 documents into evidence as true and correct statements of your of everything that's in there?
Yes, ma'am. You want me to just submit it into evidence?
Well, so that the way you submit things into evidence is that you offer them as exhibits. So are you offering parenting plan as exhibit 1, petitioner's exhibit 1?
I have other exhibits that they're already numbered.
Oh, okay.
I think up to 21.
Hang on. We need to look at those too then. Hang on. So I see an exhibit list.
Yes, ma'am. That's just a written out paper. Each photo that I submitted has the number written on it, and then that number correlates onto the exhibit list and a description of what it is.
So, all right. Do you want to offer into evidence petitioner's exhibits 1 through 21?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any objections, Mr. Rice?
I don't know what they are. What is she having for evidence? What she stated just a second ago when she was talking?
So do you know how to access the box? We sent you information about how to do that.
Are you talking about how to upload anything?
Yes, you also have the right to view what she uploaded.
So, okay, what's the question that you're asking me, ma'am?
I'm asking if you have any objections to petitioners exhibits 1 through 21.
I have objections to everything that she's spoken about, ma'am.
All right.
She's not telling the truth.
All right, sir. Other than she's not telling you the truth, do you have any legal objections to petitioners exhibits 1 through 21?
Well, she doesn't have any evidence on me, domestic violence. I don't have not a single one thing.
You're not listening to my question. You're going to get to talk about all of that unless you use up your time in some of this other stuff. Do you have an objection to petitioners exhibits 1 through 21?
Can you send me the link?
Miss Fatima, did you already send him the link? Or Miss Williamson?
That link should have been automatically generated when the job was assigned to us. I do see there is one person who hasn't accepted it, but I can't tell what that email address is. I can certainly send another link now and see if it goes through.
All right. What is your email address, Mr. Rice?
3@gmail.com.
Okay, I just tried to send that and it says that email address, hold on, could not be invited to this folder, which usually means you've already been invited and you haven't accepted. I can't send an additional invite. So Mr. Rice, if you could check your spam folder, a lot of times those box invitations go to spam and you'll have to locate it there. Or I can try to remove you and resend again. So I can also try that.
Don't do that yet. Let him look in spam first.
It's not in my spam, ma'am.
All right. And you don't see any emails from Miss Williamson?
No, ma'am.
That's not how we do it now.
Okay.
And it wouldn't let me send this one. So I can remove who I think was someone who didn't accept it then, and I can resend again if you'd like.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a morning break. You need to hang out with your phone or computer so that when you get the invitation, you can open the link. Then you have a right to go look in the file folder that's called Petitioner. And if you go into that file folder, there should be 2 other subfolders. One's called P's Uploaded Exhibits, and one's called P's Uploaded Other Materials. You'll need to look at those 21 exhibits in the first folder and the 2 additional exhibits, the parenting plan documents, in the other, and tell me if you have any objections to those. So we're going to take a break. How much time do they have left, Mr. Beck?
Judge, Mr. Beck has stepped away. I don't know how much time they have left, but I've been keeping time moving forward. Maybe he can tell us that when we come back from our break. Sorry, Michelle.
All right. We're going to go ahead and break until 10:30. And at that point, I need you to tell me, Mr. Rice, if you have an objection to any of those 21 numbered exhibits or the other 2 documents in the other materials folder.
Okay.
Welcome to mute yourself and turn off your videos until 10:30. Mr. Rice, were you able to get into the box and look at the proposed exhibits?
No, actually, I'm just objecting to all that. I wasn't able to get into the box because I was going to have to create a new account and things like that. But I object to everything. I'm pretty sure that she, whatever her statement was everything that's in the box. But I object to everything that she said.
All right. And the basis for your objection is what?
Because she has no proof.
All right. The objection is overruled, and petitioners exhibits 1 through 21 are admitted. And then petitioners other 2 exhibits, which are...
Judge, we're missing petitioner. You're on mute.
I'm
Ms. Tibbs.
sorry, I had it on mute and the video off. I'm here.
All right, thank you. So 1 through 21 are admitted, and then the parenting plan is admitted as 22, and the parenting plan 2 is admitted as petitioner's exhibit 23. All right. Any other witnesses or evidence that you want to put on, Ms. Tibbs?
No, ma'am. Is the minimizing the child the additional, is that admitted as evidence as well?
So you're offering that page which you have listed as court addition and petitioners uploaded other materials. You want that to be petitioner's exhibit 24?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is admitted as a summary of your testimony as petitioner's 24.
Thank you.
All right. So is that all of your testimony and evidence that you want to put on, Ms. Tibbs?
Yes, ma'am, that's all.
Right. So now, Mr. Rice, it's your turn. Mr. Beck, tell me again how long each of them has left.
Ms. Tibbs has about 37 minutes left, and Mr. Rice has about an hour.
All right. If y'all really need all of that time, we're going to have to break at about 11:20 because I have a meeting to go to, and we'll have to come back in the afternoon. But if you're able to finish by 11:20, then we'll just conclude for the day. So, Mr. Rice, this is your turn to put on any evidence you want to put on. That includes any testimony you want to give to me under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So why don't we start with me asking you some of the same questions I already asked Ms. Tibbs. Okay.
Okay.
So have you ever been married before?
Yes.
How many times?
3.
So this
This will be the 3rd. Yes, ma'am.
And how many children do you have?
I have 8.
And what are their names and ages?
Tyranny. I don't know all their birthdays like that, but Tyranny is my oldest. Is 9.
That's 6.
Okay, and then man, I can't even think of all my kids.
Well, let's start with how many different women did you have children with?
I believe 4.
All right. And who is the mother of your oldest children?
That is Carrie. Her name is Carrie.
How do you spell that?
Carrie.
And which children is she the mother of?
She's 1, and that was Carrie.
I'm sorry. Which children is she the mother of?
Carrie. Carrie is Tyranny's mom.
All right. So there's still 2 children missing.
One is Lynette, and her mom is I don't even know her last name on that, ma'am. I'm sorry, but
Do you know her mother's first name?
I can't remember. This is like 15 years ago.
All right. And do you remember the 8th child?
I don't.
All right. And the court reporter is probably going to need to know the spellings of those names, but we'll come back to that. Are you under any court orders to pay child support to any of these other children?
I'm under support for Major, and oh yeah, okay. I have one that's in Florida. and I'm under child support for her.
Who is that?
That is with I don't know. I just have to remember, ma'am. I'm just like under a lot of stress. I can't remember a lot of stuff right now.
All right. Did you have any other children with anyone else since you were married to Miss Tibbs?
No, ma'am.
Um, and do you carry any health insurance for yourself or any of your children?
No.
And I believe that you told me right when we started that the last time you filed a tax return, you believe that your income was about $30,000. Is that correct?
It's about 26 to 30 before the pandemic or the year of the pandemic.
And how much do you estimate that you have made in the first 6 months of this year?
Probably about $2,000 or $3,000.
A month?
The whole time. It's just been hard to work just because the things I'm going through with not seeing my daughter and things like that. And, I lost my car, someone hit and ran it, just little things that go on.
All right. And what jobs have you had in the last 5 years?
Okay. I work for Grubhub. I work for Lyft, and I have now my own company. It's Austin City Experience. I haven't made any money that has to do with that company. I've been filing my taxes for zero.
All right. Are there any other jobs you've had in the last 5 years?
No.
I think that's all of the questions I have for you. Other than it's true that you live in Travis County
That is correct.
and you've lived here for at least the 6 months before the suit was.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you lived here altogether?
I've lived here for I think it's almost a year since July 17th. It's almost a year.
July 17th of 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And where did you live before that?
I was living with one of my uncles when we moved back here from Florida.
All right. Now it's your turn to tell me anything that you want me to know you, and we lost him. Hopefully he'll dial back in.
Sorry, ma'am, for the disconnection.
All right.
Apologize for that.
So I was just telling you that you are still under oath and you're welcome to, at this point, tell me anything it is that you want to know.
Did I want to know about what?
You want me to know before I make my decision.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay. So I feel like she was trying to defamation my character. All those anything that she said, yes, I've smoked weed. Yes, I got shot. And before my daughter was born, I had stopped smoking weed because me and my wife, we were in a car accident. And what had happened was, I don't know. I'm not sure if she got these deficiencies from the car accident or whatnot. But at that time, as soon as that happened, I stopped smoking weed and I gave myself to God to be there for my daughter. So it's evident that Tommy is my purpose in life and everything that I want to do. As in, uh, so so Tommy was born without her esophagus to her stomach. The first year, she got it connected. The second day, the first year, she had 3 cardiac arrests, and every time she had a cardiac arrest, I asked God to bring her back in the name of Jesus with Jesus' blood, not once, but 3 times. Um, Tommy is special. She's in my heart. She affects me every single day that I can't see her or know what's going on with her. The third time when she had her cardiac arrest, I was at work. My wife had called me and told me she was already under cardiac arrest 15 to 20 minutes. So I said, well, I'm going to get over there. I'm going to get there real quick. And so when I got there to the Dell Children's Hospital, I walk in, there's about 40 or 50 people already. They were going to pronounce her dead. I look around. My wife is all the way at the end of the room with the nun. I walk in and I say, Tommy, Daddy's here now. And I say, God has a purpose for you. And a lady nudges me and she says, you can't be disrupting the room. And I said, please, ma'am, don't touch me again. This is between me and God. I asked God to bring my daughter back in the name of Jesus with Jesus' blood. And they set me outside for 10 minutes. I was like, I got to get back in that room. I got to see if Tommy's doing good or whatnot. So when I walk back in, everybody starts to clap. The doctor comes up to me and he says, I've never seen that before. And I said, I have, because God's done it 2 other times for me. And that's that. But what I'm trying to this course to hear me today is that I've changed my life. And the only reason why that it's not going further is because my daughter's not here. I have no way of speaking with her. I call Heather. Why do I have to call something different than talking right to her mother? Because, my daughter she can speak well, but she doesn't know well. So I'm asking for, this whole time for these 2 years, I've only seen her once, is just to speak with her and know what's going on with her, because I was there for her day to day, everything that was going on with her before she was born and when she was born. Before she was born, I was praying for her in her mom's womb, for her to be able to make it the first day. I feel like this. Heather is an awesome mom. She's awesome. She remembers everything about her details of our daughter. And I'm very grateful to have her to be able to do that, because she had a lot of problems. But don't miss the fact that for 5 years, I took care of the family and I worked hard every single day, and there was no drugs. I worked hard and I provided a way for my daughter to live. As you can see, I have a lot of kids and I haven't been able to be a part of them. But when you take somebody that almost didn't have a life, that takes the life out of me, because I don't know anything that's going on with her. And I think it's I shouldn't have to go to Florida to see my daughter. I should be able to see my daughter in Texas, because I have parents that took care of us during the, the pandemic and gave us money so we could survive. So my parents miss my daughter too. And the fact that her parents didn't know that I didn't have no way of being in touch with Tommy, because her mom felt that Heather didn't was lying to them about everything that I've ever done. She's a manipulative person that lies. If I lie, I'm gonna tell you I lie, and I'm gonna be right there I can accept my failure. There's no failure in me with my daughter, with Tommy. And I know she misses me, and I know she never ever said that I was a bad dad to her, because for one, and I know this for a fact, when she stayed with me for that one week, she says, "Daddy, it's time for cuddle times. You need to come up here and some cuddle with me." I said, "Does your mom not cuddle with you?" She says, "No." She goes, "Daddy, you're the best cuddler." And so I got in that bed and I cuddled with her and I rubbed her nose, both nose to nose. And I said, "You're the best woman next to your grandmother, my mom. I love you, Tommy. And I hope things get better for you. And I'm sorry that me and your mom put you through this." And that's just the type of relationship I have with my daughter. I talk to her like she's an adult, because 3 cardiac arrests, you're supposed to have brain damage. She understands everything that's going on with her parents right now. And I know she's wondering, why hasn't my dad contacted me? So why does Tommy tell her grandparents and Heather, "My daddy's gonna buy me everything"? Yes, I'm gonna buy you anything you want, because you almost didn't survive life here. So you definitely can have anything you want from me. And I'm definitely gonna go out there and do everything. And I'm still gonna go out there and do everything, because she's my purpose, and I want to be a motivational speaker. And I want to bring people to Christ, because God did that for me with my daughter. And if the court takes my daughter from me, I don't have a life. I don't have a purpose anymore. So please don't take my daughter out of my life. And I'm sorry I'm crying, but these are tears of not joy, of 2 long years of not having no communication with my daughter. I don't know why any mother would not want a father that wants to be in that child's life. My parents were married for 35, 40 years. I am so used to being a family oriented. I am family oriented. I've never, ever done anything wrong I've never hit Heather. I don't think she's ever said that, but I don't have any domestic violence, because my mom and dad love each other, and they love each other when they even broke up. So it's even good for our family now that we have all these grandkids and everything, and they still do the same thing. I love family. God first, family next, and then me. It's not even about me anymore, because I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing without my kids. I don't know. I just want the courts to know that Heather, whatever went on with us, I apologize. Don't make these stipulations with my kid like this, when you know I'm a good father. You know this. And that's all I have to say.
Judge, you're on mute.
Say
Mr.
what?
I'm wondering what steps you've taken to try and find a job that would allow you to financially support your daughter.
I do have a job that will financially support me. It's Austin City Experience. The reason why I haven't done anything with my company, this company is basically transportation, and I know that I can support my kids with this because God gave me this. I can get paid 5 different ways, but I haven't been able to put this on display because I know what type of woman Heather is. She's going to try to take that from me too as well. But I want to put on record that, you know, I haven't done anything with my company. The only time I did anything with my company is before I left during the pandemic, and that proved to me that I can come back here in Austin and work hard and provide for my 8 kids. I know that for a fact, and I haven't done it now because I didn't want anything taken away from me, so she could get my money and not my kids.
So
I don't have.
how much money do you expect to be able to make from your company?
That's undetermined, and I don't want to say anything because I want to just talk facts. I just know what's in my heart. I know that I can provide my family with that for the rest of their lives. It's generational.
Right. Is there anything else that you want me to know before I make my decisions?
Um, Your Honor, yeah, I'm 54 years old, but you got to know and understand that the wisdom that I've acquired during all this, especially with the process of my daughter. I feel like I'm on probation with Heather because she wants me to come down to the state where she lives, take a drug test, all these things. I'm not on probation for nobody. I've already done all those things in my long time ago, and I got off, and I haven't been in trouble with the law in 15 years. 15 years. So I know I'm doing something right out here. I have most up respect for the law and you, Your Honor. I I would I would hope that you don't judge me on my character because of the words that she says, but on the words that I just discussed with you about my daughter and my family and where I'm going in the future. I'm going to be able to support my kids, and I'm also going to be able to do things for God and bring people to Christ later on in life. And that's me. That's all of me. And here's one thing that I do know. This is something that I wrote. I wrote it a long time ago. It's a letter to the Lord. And I just want everybody to hear this because it's something that I recite every single day for the last 5, 6 years when my daughter basically was injured. We were injured in a car wreck and then so forth. But here it is. It's my letter to the Lord. Lord, as I try to stay faithful and health and humble, it's so hard to stay focused. I pray to Jesus, to the friend that's closest to my heart, but more near to you. It is you, my Lord, who says, in order for me not to perish, I must seek him to get next to my King. I do know how to get to my Lord's kingdom in righteousness. I'm sorry that I fall short of this. Where I'm weak, make me strong and add wisdom to my understanding. Lord, I beg of you to give me love that's endless in my heart and take away all the evil that dwells in me. And when the evil is gone, use me like you never have before. And when time comes for me to preach your words, then I'll reflect on the Trinity that has dwelled in me. I shall know that I'm saved eternally. It is your grace that brought me from defeat. Now I stand in awe because of what you've done for me. That letter to the Lord has corrected my life, and it's going to continue to correct my life because I manifest that every single day, and I know I'm going to be great. That's it, ma'am.
All right. So do you have a criminal record?
Yes.
What is it?
Uh, when you say what is it,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
have you been convicted of any crimes?
Yeah, I was on probation for 8 years,
For what?
and uh, for illegal substance.
All right. Have you ever been charged with any violent crimes?
No, never,
Have you ever been charged with domestic violence?
never.
Um, and oh, I think that's all of my questions. What is the most money that you've ever made in a year?
I would have to say the 26 to 28,000 when I was married to Heather. I mean, she wasn't working, but I was.
All right. And if you were to be drug tested today, would the drug test be positive or negative?
It would be negative.
All right. Ms. Tibbs, do you have any questions for Mr. Rice?
Excuse me, I do.
Okay.
How do you earn money for daily needs and necessities?
I go to work and I have family.
How would you support Tommy?
First of all, I would support her with my love, and then I'll be going to work every single day. And I think you know that already.
In what job?
Well, I lift. I mean, I have other things that I can do. You know, I have my sons, they rap, they do music. I did music here for the last 20 years in Austin. I mean, I can support my daughter, and I'm going to support her with Ace. If can you put it on record that she doesn't want anything from me with Ace? Can she get anything with that?
I'm not here to answer any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to answer her questions though. So she's wondering how you will support Tommy, and
Okay.
anything else you want to add to that answer?
I'm going to be here for Tommy too as well.
Ms. Tibbs?
Okay. Why do you not have relationships with your other kids?
Say again?
Why do you not have relationships with your other kids?
That's not true. I have relationships with my kids. Maybe
All
not
of them?
all of them. Maybe not all of them, but that's not for you to judge.
But the ones that you
Just
don't, why don't you have relationships with them?
I want you to judge me on what I did for our daughter, and because that's what other mothers, all that kind of stuff. I want you to judge me from what I provided for you and care of my daughter. And you didn't go home. You didn't go a day without eating. Never was late on the rent. And this was from an honest job. So
All right, you may ask your next question, Ms. Tibbs.
You do know everything that I'm asking for is solely for Tommy, correct? Has no personal benefit to me.
I mean, I don't know that because I mean you've kept her from me for 2 years. Why would you not want her to be able to speak to me? Why wouldn't you want me to know her health issues? I mean, you know, all she has to do is choke on a piece of food, and I'm not there to do anything. I'm not there to respond to it. I don't know if she's in the hospital. All these things.
Did you not have FaceTime calls with her before her iPad was turned off?
Well,
Almost every day.
that iPad was for 2 years that I was paying on, and then the last, communications of before you came back here to Austin, you weren't letting me. I would call the iPad, but hey, Tommy doesn't play with our iPad anymore. I said, okay, all right. Well, then can I talk to her on your phone line? No, I didn't.
Do you remember why you were blocked from my phone?
I mean, because I wanted to see my daughter. I wanted to know where you were. I don't know where she is. Do you think that's fair?
Why did Tommy smell like weed whenever you dropped her off back to my parents when I was in training?
Well,
And
how
all
would
of her
you know that?
belongings?
How would you know that? How
Because
would
they
you?
told me.
They told you your parents smoke weed. So how do you know it wasn't from them? Besides that point, you're the only one that's asking me that. The parents, your parents, as far as your my mother-in-law, she cares about me. She tells me all these things. She wanted me to see our child. She doesn't want me, Tommy, to go without a father.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
All right, I have one other, Mr. Rice. Have you ever been the sole caregiver for your daughter?
Have I been ever the sole caregiver?
Yes, like did she live with you by yourself at any point? Has
Um,
has she spent nights with you by yourself? Just for two?
um, yes, when she was here for that 1 week when her my in-laws let me see her. You know, why would my in-laws let me see my kid if I can't take care of her? Why would they go behind her Heather's back?
For how
Because they
long? For how long did your daughter stay with you by yourself?
I would have to say like 10 days.
All right, and you were living alone, and your daughter came and stayed with you while you were living alone.
I was living alone. I have a roommate, and I would have my 9-year-old son over here too because he hadn't seen her either. My daughter.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to tell me before I make my decision?
I have no more uh, anything else to say. I know God entrusted you to make the right decision.
And Ms. Tibbs, do you have any more questions for Mr. Rice?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Rice, do you have any documents or other evidence that you want to put on, either by documents or by other people testifying?
No, I don't have anything with me like that. I wish I would have got her mom's okay or something because I know that she's not gonna lie on the stand for sure. But I didn't know that all these things were be up against me.
And on May 31st, when y'all appeared at a hearing with Judge Julio de la Yata, you heard him tell you that you needed to fill out these pretrial forms and where to find them, and they need to be filed before the hearing today. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am, I remember that.
But you didn't do that. You haven't filed anything or uploaded anything to Box, have you?
I believe I did it July 7th, I believe.
All right, what do you,
July
what
I
do you,
think I uploaded July 7th the things that you were asking about
where did you upload them?
on the website.
So did you file them with the district clerk's website? Do you have a copy of what it is you think you uploaded?
I think I have a copy that I did it. I'm just not very tech savvy, but
And what is it you think you uploaded?
the information that you wanted.
All right. And what specific information did you include? Did you include a budget of what all your income and expenses are?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
All right. Well, if there's nothing further from either of you, that closes the evidence. Are you done, Ms. Tibbs?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, Mr. Rice?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm gonna give this one some more thought before I make a decision in it. I will get you all a decision by email in the next week. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.